view that education in Nigeria has never really received the kind of attention it deserves. And I put the blame squarely on the leadership of the country. Clearly, education does not start at the university level. It does not start at the tertiary level. The bedrock of education is primary education. And for those who have the access, pre-primary is also there. But in my view, it's not always necessary to have it, because we didn't have it. I didn't have pre-primary education. I had just primary education in those days for 8 years, kind of. The point I'm making is that government should really get back to basics. The primary level is the level where education is put in your head, your mind. And from there, you go to secondary school if you want, or go to teacher training college if you want. And from there, if you are qualified, if you are sufficiently gifted, you go to the university tertiary level. The point I'm making is that in my days, I had the privilege of going through primary schools in my community, in my home, not far from my home. Well, now, the primary school we went in 2 stages. Went to what looked now like a nursery school or pre-primary school. And that was next door to our house, in the village there, the community. It was St. Teresa's, a small school, not very large, but served the community. And from St. Teresa's, in St. Teresa's did Infant 1, Infant 2. To standard 1, we had to go to St. Charles, the central school, and 1 to 6, that kind of thing. The point I'm making is that even in those days, the authorities were aware of the stages you had to pass through and the kind of nurturing you required. Okay, and if you don't get it right at that stage, you may never get it right again. I remember many people who went to primary school with me who didn't survive primary education. But those who went to secondary school, of course, went higher. Many, again, not many, but a few of us from secondary school went to university. Most people stopped at secondary school, went to teacher training for 2 years or so, and that kind of thing. And life was taken from there. Point I'm making is that education does not seem to have received the kind of attention it requires in our country. It doesn't seem to have received, because I see most states grouping, just doing it anyhow, some people will go, some will not go. That's why also we have the largest number of out-of-school children in the whole world. Many children in this country do not even go to primary school at all, don't go to any school. They start roaming the streets at an early age and end up as bandits or as terrorists or whatever. So if you miss them at that age, you have missed them forever. Again, as I said, at that level, at the lower level, it is easier to educate people. It is easier also to maintain. They are inexpensive to maintain. And in stages, it becomes more difficult because you have to pay. But it is at that stage that I think what government is talking about will come in. Again, I've talked about, I said primary, secondary. And then it's at the tertiary level that we need help. And what government is proposing, in my view, may not have been so thoroughly thought about. Because, let me put it this way. At the tertiary level, you must be able to identify those who are brilliant, who are intelligent, who are likely to make it higher than that. I think the word profligacy is appropriate. There's a lot of waste of funds, of money at the higher level of government. Well, in fact, if you like, even from the local governments. The point is that the people who are running government think of themselves only. They are managing themselves. They are funding themselves, funding their lives and the living, and they seem to be ignoring the basic thing, which is to provide for the welfare, security, and if you like, education of the generality of the people. I put it this way. You were saying tuition was free, but that even then, I know of a time, like when I went to school, tuition was not exactly entirely free, but it was cheaper relatively because, well, in comparative terms, yes, we were not paying so much, but the money was also tasking for many private individuals. But families were required to pay for primary school, for secondary school, and for university if your child got there. But I am also saying that after primary school, even as low as local government was then, I remember that there were scholarship schemes even in the local government. What used to be county council then, Mbise County Council had a scholarship scheme. I benefited from it. I got a scholarship from Mbise County Council to go to Holy Ghost College of Owerri. It was only £100. The entire thing was £100 for the 5 years, £20 a year. And £20 a year was a lot of money because my school, for instance, the first school I went, Holy Ghost College, we only paid £10 a term, £30 a year. So the family was only looking for £10 for every year I was in Holy Ghost College. And that was very easy burden to bear. Okay, so if you had a scholarship that gave you £20 a year for 5 years, you were already through your secondary education. Right? And I'm saying that government thought, even at that level, thought of helping people to go to school. Today, I don't think anybody cares about whether people go to primary school or not, whether they go to secondary school or not. That is part of the tragedy of our situation. I'm minded to say that even though there are more people now going to school, primary, secondary, and all that, we ought to devote more attention. Even the primary, the local governments and so on should pay attention to education at that level, and ensure that more and more people are lifted from the primary level to secondary, and from secondary then you can talk about university. And at the university, as you were saying, again, in our days, it wasn't a loan scheme. The federal government must think of promoting excellence in education. There must be a scholarship scheme. Scholarship, one. Loan, yes, also. But there must be a way of incentivizing the young, brilliant intellectuals in our midst. You must encourage them to go through through secondary school and through university. And the way to do it is giving them scholarships at the university. And it's not free, but it used to be a lot of scholarships. But at the federal level. Federal scholarship was total. It enabled you to go to secondary school through university without paying anything, almost, from your family. And yes, some people also not just federal, even the regional governments then had scholarship. Because I remember that whereas I had a federal scholarship for my university, my good friend, the now late Professor Merole, had the Eastern Regional Scholarship. So the Eastern Regional Scholarship was less in terms of total amount, but it was a good contribution to your education. Now, what I'm saying is that with the federal government scholarship for my undergraduate studies, I had no problem at all. It was simple. Even though I went, again, talking about scholarship, as I said, I came into Ibadan with the federal government scholarship. But after the first year also, I got the university gave me a scholarship based on my performance in part 1 in the first year. So again, there are levels of encouragement. But these days we tend not to think even about excellence. Everybody is the same, we just think about, helping, sharing the thing for states and all that. But we make no attempt at all to identify brilliant people. The stars of yesterday are the ones who should be leading us today. But people who didn't have that kind of opportunity are all over the place. And that's why we have no emphasis on quality or excellence. I'm a stickler for excellence. I am saying that it's not everybody that goes to university that should have a scholarship. No. Some should have scholarship. The best of the best should have scholarships to go to university. They will not have to pay fees. Others will have to pay fees. If they can't provide, the federal government can give them loans. State government can give them loans. It's not just federal government. State government can give loans to students of that state to enable them to go to university, and they pay back later. That is different. But it is not to the exclusion of students who should have tuition free or boarding free on the basis of their endowment. That is what I'm saying. We have stopped thinking about that in our country. What we are talking about now seems to be to give loans to people so that they can go to school. Then I'm saying yes, that a scholarship scheme is inevitable in any society that wants to make sense. A scholarship scheme is important. For people who are good, who are exceptional, who are more than the regular average students. Ordinary average students can go to university and they have to pay, or parents have to pay. If parents don't pay, they have loans to pay. So that's a different thing. I'm saying there's not enough emphasis on excellence anymore. What we're saying is the need to go to university. They need money. Everybody needs money. Even the brilliant students need money. But I'm saying that to those brilliant students who are so endowed, they should be allowed to go to school, tuition free and things like that. That encourages excellence, encourages competition, and makes people want to be Nigerians rather than go and get a loan. Well, I mean, all said, people can get loans. Why not? Loans are not so difficult to get because, well, the banks or the lending institutions will have various conditions which most people can meet. They should meet it and get the money and pay back later. But that does not mean that government has helped them to go to school. It has not enabled anybody because the money, it doesn't belong to government. It's not public funds. They're not using public funds. They are borrowing money from the banks, from financial institutions. I'm still insisting that I do not see enough emphasis. I don't see enough emphasis on excellence, on people who are bright, who are gifted, getting scholarships, as different from just throwing it because you come from A or B state. That is one. Two is that a loan is something that anybody should be able to get and be able to refund on the terms and conditions given by the bank or the lending institution. Well, I suppose people who don't have jobs have a way of proving that they don't have jobs, so their loan repayment can be deferred. That looks to me possible. But my only worry is this lack of emphasis on excellence in the whole process. By the way, education, the ETF started when I was Minister of Education, and the tax was taken from establishments that were making a lot of money, and before then were not paying any tax on it. So education tax started then, and the idea was to have a reserve of funds that can be plowed into education and education alone. It seems to have worked over the years. But the point one is making is that we must go back to search for excellence. We must go back to it. We cannot just say everybody should go to school. Yes, but as they go to school, we must identify the stars among them. We must identify the stars and show enough interest. The state should show enough interest in the development of the stars, not just herding of people into school and out of school. No, that is basic anyway. That's basic. But government should place more emphasis on on scholarships, and I don't think it detracts from the general program. It doesn't detract from it. It emphasizes, in fact, it strengthens it. If you now search using the credentials, of course. I mean, it's not. You're not asking the local government to do it, but using the credentials presented for admission and so on, you will know these are the stars, and you should pop up the stars. Let them go higher, and not just hand everybody together. That's my own worry. It's a question of which comes first, the chicken or the egg. The question of migration is also because of lack of appropriate opportunities locally. If people have jobs here, they probably don't need to go out. And if they go out, then they can come back. But the point one is going to make here is that we do need more universities anyway as the population grows. Our population is very large. We have almost 200 million people in Nigeria. We need more universities. We need more secondary schools. We need more institutions of various types. So this is appropriate that more universities should be created. But we must not also lose sight of the quality of standards. That is why, of course, the original idea of a National Universities Commission, that's the original idea of various regulatory agencies to ensure that standards do not fall because numbers have increased. As I said, the universities are producing more people. The retirement age of professors has also been increased from 60 or 65 used to be to 70, and when they retire at 70, they shop around for private institutions and all. They can still continue lecturing until they can no longer talk. But as long as you can talk, as long as you can still remember what you learned, you can still keep teaching. So the point I'm making is that the more universities we have, the better. I don't see anything wrong with it. We probably don't even have enough because we have an increased number of population. We increased the population. We've increased in number of primary schools, number of secondary schools. I mean, look at this street alone. We have 2 secondary schools. Yeah, that's what it means. And all of them will be looking for university places. So we need more universities, but we must not lose track of the standards. We must not lose sight of the standards. The universities must be properly regulated through the National Universities Commission or other appropriate bodies like that. Well, you see, giving loans and approving loans and recovering money, that's purely a financial management issue. It's not really educational. And I believe that even in advanced countries where they have other various students, for instance, in the US, there are students' loans, and they are received from institutions that do that give loans. Now we should concentrate on improving the quality of our education, and leave the loan scheme and the financial institutions, to monitor the funding of the scheme. What I'm saying exactly is that a loan scheme is not education itself. No, it's not education itself. You should the financial institutions should work out appropriate ways of giving loans and getting their refunds. That is their business. It's not the VC, it's not the problem of the vice chancellor or the dean of science. No, that is the students' business with the financial institutions, and government should concentrate on being able to give free education, in other words, scholarships to people who qualify, people who are leading lights in their disciplines, people who you can point at and say, we paid his fees, for instance, so we can use his services. But a situation where everybody is allowed to go and find loan, go and find money to go to, that is not good. It doesn't make for patriotism even. Many people will refuse to go out of the country if, for instance, they find that, oh, my education has been paid for by government, the state has trained me, I can pay something back by giving services. That was probably the spirit that led people to stay back, when they should have gone away. But in Nigeria, we cannot say, okay, what you have is a loan, and the loan is a loan. You pay back the loan as you can, or under the conditions given. I don't think it's not an educational matter, really. It's not an educational matter. It's a financial management matter, and I don't think government should beat its chest to say it approved loan. It approved the loans board, a loan scheme. That is not. It's not. It doesn't require it doesn't require much thinking to do it. No.